Hello and welcome to our last episode in our worst weapons run of Ultimate General Civil War. Today we are going to storm Richmond and we are going to bring 4 full corps onto the battlefield. I have reinforced every unit to the absolute maximum. Still, we have over 7,500 soldiers left in stock. We also still have over $1,400,000 lying around, but don't you worry, we will find a way to embezzle that later. This is not going to be returned to the government. Our first corps has one division that is armed with the Springfield M1855, and after that every unit carries the pattern 1853 Enfield. The only exception to that is Garfield with the Tyler Texas. We are also going to bring 2 units of Sharps snipers, as well as a battery of 12-pounder Napoleons, 2 batteries of 6-pounder field guns and a battery of 12-pounder howitzers. We are also bringing 4 batteries of 10-pounder ordnances. In our second corps, the majority of our soldiers carry the Lorentz, but we also have a multitude of other weapons, like the Palmetto M1842, the Tyler Texas, the Springfield M1855, and also the M1841 Mississippi. This corps brings 1 unit of Hunter snipers. It has support by 2 batteries of 6-pounder field guns, 2 batteries of 12-pounder howitzers, and once again 4 batteries of 10-pounder ordnances. The artillery in our third corps is armed in the exactly same way, and they also bring a unit of Hunter snipers, but the infantry in this corps carries mostly the Palmetto M1842. We also have Scales with the M1841 Mississippi, and we have Kite with the M1842. The same goes with Kitching. This corps also holds our reboards and our standard farmers. And in our fourth corps, most of the soldiers have the Springfield M1842. We also have some units like Lawman with the MJ&G Type 2 and Stafford with the M1841 Mississippi. Also, we have some understrength units like Kite with the Lorentz and another unit under the name of Kite with the Palmetto M1842. This corps brings our Sharps cavalry, our sword-offs and our Cook and Brothers to the field, as well as our Sharps skirmishers. And thanks to our available reinforcements, we have been able to use up every single available weapon until we reach the Springfield M1855. The same goes for the Hunter rifles within our skirmishing equipment, as well as the sword-offs and the Cook and Brother musketoons for our cavalry. In the artillery department we have used up all of the available 6-pounders, but other than that we weren't able to upgrade any more of our batteries. And to make sure that we have the best chance of success on the battlefield, I have recruited the most seasonal officers we had available and put them into our army. Our career point from the last fight was invested into economy, giving us a nice discount for our forces, and now it is time to jump into battle. We can see that the Confederate army is going to consist of 7 corps with 16 divisions and in total 98 brigades. They're going to field over 56,000 soldiers and 173 artillery pieces. And once our attack on the left, led by our first corps, and our attack on the right with our second corps arrives, we already heavily outnumber our enemy. But with the reinforcements of our third and fourth corps, we outnumber the Confederate army 3-1. In total, we are going to have over 167,300 soldiers and 557 artillery pieces. So, our first corps will soon begin arriving on the battlefield located east of Richmond. To mask our attack from enemy reconnaissance, we have maneuvered our corps into positions one by one. Our main objective is to secure the first defensive layer of trenches east of the city. Reconnaissance reveals a lightly defended section. It starts from here. extends further south to this point. And ends south of York River at Williamsburg Road. Our next step will be to capture the forts that guard Richmond's eastern side, and finally the city itself. Our task will not be easy. As soon as the Confederates realize the main attack is coming from the east, they will begin continuously reinforcing their defenses using Mechanicville's road and the railroads. Good luck to us all, General. The vanguard of our corps is arriving. The rebels should not expect an attack in this area, so they should have less infantry guarding the trenches. Reconnaissance revealed that Longstreet commands those troops. First, we have to secure the trench command post located here. And at this section, advance. The battle can begin and the men are moving out. I've deployed a thick skirmishing screen so that we can get an eye onto the enemy, and I've sent 4 brigades over here and the rest of our forces over on this line. Artillery is also moving forward and we will soon crush the Confederate resistance. So far we can see that they have only deployed 12,000 soldiers and 70 artillery pieces, while we outnumber them 2 to 1. We should therefore be able to get a foothold onto the enemy lines relatively easily. Down here Croft has been left behind, he needs to move forward. And I wonder if I should send our soldiers forward on the double quick, but I hope this is not going to be necessary. Down here we can see that Terry is in position on those fences. And our general has been hit by some artillery. We can see some more forces. The skirmishers of Croft and the Iron Brigade are going to engage the enemy. The rest of our men are going to push up, and I am beginning to give out some combat orders. Down here, these boys can get into contact, and we have some skirmishers on our wings. Let's get these skirmishers over on this side to hold our flank so that our infantry doesn't have to deal with them. In the meantime, the rest of our forces are advancing. We are going to be slowed down by the terrain, but it is still going to be more or less successful. Down here, Kelly's skirmishers are taking some hits. They are most likely going to withdraw. But as soon as the majority of our fighting force has arrived, we should be able to break through. If necessary, we are going to order a charge. 6-pounders get close to these positions, 10-pounders you can set up over here. Whiting, move forward. And Price as well as Bragg are about to open up on Terry. Down here, Stahl can also move down as these skirmishers have made it onto their positions. And Whiting can also move forward in front of Bragg's skirmishers. These 10-pounders and 12-pounders need to open up the battlefield. How is the situation over here looking? Kelly's skirmishers can reattach. The skirmishers of the Iron Brigade are still holding out, but they can soon also reattach. I want Croft over here so that we can get multiple brigades firing on Grattan. Kelly needs to hold out. And as soon as we are able to drive away one brigade, the rest is soon going to follow. These skirmishers can reattach. Whitaker, open up. And I want Stahl to move further down here. I'm sure they have something left on this line, but maybe there is a gap. That would be very, very much appreciated. Canfield and Skates, move forward. Whiting is about to move up. We have Hugger's artillery over there that we cannot deal with at the moment. Bidwell, please charge down the enemy. This should open up the battlefield force. These skirmishers can reattach. Craft is moving forward. The Iron Brigade can get into position. 6-pounders also get ready. So far, the Confederate line is holding. But we can see that there is already an opening forming up. Let's get the boys forward. And it appears that Terry is trying to get back on their fortifications and that this position is in fact open. Only held by skirmishers and Adams artillery. Major General Todd Roberts is wounded. Let's get these boys forward on the double. 10-pounders open up over here. 12-pounders open up on Terry. We can see that these brigades have been repelled. And Confederate dismounted cavalry is approaching. These skirmishers reattach. Kelly's getting blocked and is now getting flanked. Let's pull him back. Iron Brigade skirmishers reattach. 10-pounders open up over here as well. Whitting, you need to get forward again. And all of these skirmishers can get back on their positions. We need to get these skirmishers forward. Terry is falling back once more. And I'm going to order Starhide to charge those skirmishers. The rest of our forces need to move up, so that we can deal with Stewart. Down here, Canfield and Scales get forward on Hunted. 10-pounders move up a bit. 12-pounders move up a bit. And we need to hurry up so that Beringer does not get into our rear. Starhide, you're going to push forward onto the enemy artillery. Bragg, get into this opening, so that we can deal with the enemy forces in the area. These boys, hold your ground. Come on, hold your ground. Major General Patrick Kelly is killed. Many more casualties are going to follow soon. How's the situation to the north looking? We had for a moment an opening. Kennedy is trying to get back into these positions. Let's get the boys forward again. Kelly, shift on Banning. Iron Brigade, you're going to deal with Kennedy. And Kraft, you're going to deal with Kennedy. Whitting, you're getting forward on Perry. 10-pounders, please deal with the enemy artillery so that we can get forward. And over here we have broken through Confederate alliance. Enemy artillery is retreating out of their fortifications. Starhell, I want you to finish them off. The rest of our boys are going to hunt the enemy. Let's hope we can get over this small creek and then onto the flank of the enemy. There's Terry coming up. His flank is exposed. Bragg is moving on the double. Should be quick enough. Yes, is quick enough to turn. Wonderful volley. Wonderful volley. There's Terry bleeding heavily. Stahl unfortunately has to be left behind so that we can deal with Adams. These boys are getting ready. Price can move forward on these artillery pieces. So far, the enemy is still resisting, and to our north, not much progress has been made. Our elite Iron Brigade is bleeding severely. Kelly is bleeding severely, took over 500 casualties, and so far we weren't able to break through. This job of the breakthrough has to be accomplished by our advancing forces in the south. Let's hope Bragg is able to open up on the enemy and to destroy them. It doesn't seem like they are flanked. Now, Whitaker, you can shift to this position. We are securing the Confederate points. 10-pounders move up, 12-pounders move up. Bragg, shift. Whitaker, open up on Stewart. Some of our skirmishers have been rear flanked. Enemy artillery is destroyed. Let's hope we can get Stahl forward so that we can deal with the approaching enemy forces that are now trying to control our rear. Canfield, open up on Corps. Scales move up and on the double. These boys are back. Kennedy is for some reason still holding out. Can we get focus fire on Kennedy? 6-pounders open up on 10. On Kennedy, the same goes with our 10-pounders. Lyle, get forward, General, get up. And we have gotten our remaining forces. The assault is continuing further south with new brigades advancing from New Bridge Road. Our new target is this trench command post along New Bridge Road. As time passes, the rebels are expected to become stronger, receiving reinforcements from this road. And this passage. General AP Hill's corps was spotted near, so he is probably going to attack us soon. Our forces have been ordered forward and we should hopefully be able to secure a good foothold before enemy reinforcements can arrive. Scouts move up here, Canfield deal with corps. These 10-pounders need to get up here, these 12-pounder Napoleons need to get up here. Some enemy artillery has been destroyed. Let's hope we can establish a good defensive ground before the enemy gets stronger. We can see that multiple skirmishers are holding up here. Mahone's division is reinforcing the rebels, and these forces are going to crush the rebels on this side. But over here we are still eating rocks. We were able to drive back Mahone. No, Kennedy. Kennedy was on this position. We were able to drive him away for a good point. Now we need to get reinforcements in. Kelly is about to fall back. He is down to 1,600 soldiers. These 10-pounders need to move up, and we need to make sure that the enemy cannot get back into this defensive ground. Wonderful, Breton's numbers are now beginning to melt. Iron Brigade is in contact, but these brigades were able to help routing this enemy for the moment. Enemy cavalry in the meantime is harassing our 10-pounders. Let's get Cook back here. Let's also get these skirmishers out. I'm sure we're going to lose some of our artillery. We have multiple enemy skirmishers still behind our lines, so let's get these reinforcements up. Major General Adam Loomis is killed, and there we have the enemy reinforcing. Whittaker, hold your ground. Bragg, move up here. Over here we should be able to defeat Finnegan. Whittaker needs to withdraw for a moment to not open his flank. Canfield, move up. Scales, fire off a volley on Finnegan. Whittaker, do not open your flank to the advancing Terry. Bragg, hold your ground. Come on, Whittaker, hold your ground. Scales, move up over here. Price, shift your position and hold your ground. Come on. Get your men in line. 1200 Napoleons, move up. And our supplies have almost been destroyed. The enemy was able to get back to defensive positions over here. We need to make sure that the soldiers of Gibson can break through. Let's just send them forward. And these men need to move up as well. We are getting rear flanked on multiple positions. Canfield's men need to deal with these boys. Cook, can you get forward over here? Come on Deering. Why are you turning this way? We are losing some soldiers. Cook, just shift around. And now shoot him. Come on. He is right there. Good volley. Now, can we get our skirmishers and our infantry back over here? If necessary, we are just going to abandon the battery of 10-pounders. Wilkes' division with multiple artillery has been spotted. And this is very chaotic. Stahl is still getting rear flanked by these skirmishers that are continuously routing. We need to get these boys to shoot. Katz artillery is out in the open. We should be able to get it. These boys need to double time it before these positions can be captured by the enemy. 6-pounders get up. 10-pounders get up. Supplies also get forward. Grant get forward. And down here the battle continues to escalate. Price is about to fall back. We have Gibson over here that we should be able to drive away, and then we can get on Macintosh. Over here Canfield is withdrawing, 1500 men only remaining. And we can see that Kelly is still on the field. Whiting can get forward. We have still not been able to break through. Our Iron Brigade was also repelled in the fighting. The Confederates are holding remarkably well. These 10-pounders can get forward so that we can also get these soldiers back to our fighting line. Enemy skirmishers have once again made it behind our lines. Come on, open up. Gibson surrendered. Wonderful, the first man that gave up. Pattern 1853 Enfield. Some good rifles. They're definitely going to miss them. But it's not like this fight is going to continue much more, and we have apparently lost some brigades that have run away all the way over there. Style, can you charge in? Heinzelmann is about to fall back. Page needs to move up over here. Let's order these boys to open fire. We were able to drive back some artillery. Seymour, I'm ordering you to charge in. 6-pounders and 10-pounders in support. Toon and Barry can move forward. These skirmishers can reattach. These skirmishers can reattach. And our supply train is about to fall to the enemy because of multiple enemy skirmishers moving up. Canfield on the double. Sharp skirmishers, hold our flank, please. These artillery pieces need to move forward. Whiting, get forward on Brown. Swallow surrendered and got recaptured. Thomas surrendered. Let's also get them on the gathering point over here. Macintosh's artillery is falling back. Terry's unit should be destroyed almost immediately. Let's get Scales and Price forward. Canfield is getting rear flanked. Our Sharps are coming up though. They should hopefully be able to hunt away Hunted. Over here we still have multiple brigades in our flank and between our lines. Stahl is getting flanked, isn't able to break through. And these 10-pounders, why are they moving up so far? This was not ordered. Seymour is falling back. We are definitely going to take severe casualties. But I can't avoid it really. Let's get these boys forward. Whitaker skirmishers can deal with Macintosh. Over here, Canfield, can you get over here? 877 casualties already. We have brigades now behind our lines. These boys, I want them to push down here so that we can exploit this opening that is soon going to occur. Iron Brigade move up. Kelly has lost over 1,200 soldiers. Kennedy is trying to push us out. Let's move forward. Kraft, get on King. These 10-pounders, I want them to destroy Brown. Scales is getting flanked by Sanders. Let's get Price forward. These guns are destroyed. Whitaker, I want you to stay behind so that we have the option to reinforce our lines. We have some soldiers that are getting rear flanked from nothing, it seems like. Over here we have actual soldiers behind our lines. And I want Bragg to move into the rear of Davies. Now, what can we do over here? We can order these boys to push up. Finnegan should be repelled. Cook, I also want you down here to open up the flank of Mayo. These boys need to deal with Hunton. Whitaker and Bidwell, I also want them to go down here so that we can get at least someone into the enemy. Kelly is bleeding out. He is soon going to be completely annihilated. He lost over 1,500 men. Kraft is also bleeding out. The enemy was able to recapture these positions. Hagar's guns are still on the field. Scales, can you shift around for a brief moment without exposing your complete flank and deal with Finnegan? I want Whitaker to stay behind, just in case. And Bragg, would you open up on Davies' rear? Would you be so kind? Cook is opening up on Mayo now. Barry still deals with those skirmishers. Over here our sharps need to deal with Hunton. Cook skirmishers can also deal with him. And we can see that Sanders wanted to drive through Scales. Canfield is wavering. Let's get Whittaker forward over here. Let's get Bidwell over on this line. Finally, Mayo is falling back, but he's of course running into our own rear. Let's simply pretend this doesn't exist, and we can push our own forces forward. Sanders can get onto this victory point. Bragg is driving away Davies. Now he can focus on Cook. Our own Cook can move over here. Brigadier General Clifton Haskell is killed. Bidwell, open up on these forces. Whiting, you need to deal with Course. Sanders, move on the double. We do not want you to get liberated. 12 pounders move up. 10 pounders move up. And we are finally making some ground. Not to our north, of course. That is still occupied. Cook was running away. Let's get him back in. Oh well, Cook wasn't running away. I gave him the order to move up there. But I think this order has become obsolete. Some enemy skirmishers have been destroyed. Kelly is down to 700 soldiers. These 6-pounders need to deal with King. He is back on the battlefield and back on these positions. And over here, Canfield can move forward. Bidwell can move forward. We need to roll up the enemy flanks. I also want Garfield to move up over here. These 10-pounders can move back. Iron Brigade, Carley and Croft, I want you back in our center and move on the double. These artillery pieces can move back. And we now have to deal with Mayo's forces who are stuck behind our lines. These skirmishers can apparently reattach. And over here we can get our boys moving forward. We have a breakthrough in the enemy lines, so this should at least make our life easier. Down here, however, the enemy is still holding. Seymour, can we get you forward? Haskell already bled severely. 6-pounders, can I focus you on lane? Now, what can we do to actually get through the enemy? I want these skirmishers out. Maybe there is another handy opening down here that we could exploit. Page, now focus on Coke. Over here we should be able to annihilate Davies. These boys need to hold our sides and these men can move forward. Bidwell is opening up on the enemy. These boys are opening up. Bidwell is getting flanked. Let's get him back for a brief moment. And meanwhile we are advancing in the south. In the meantime, the other parts of our army is advancing via Williamsburg Road a few miles south. The Confederate forces are currently stretched out so thin that only their dismounted cavalry guards those trenches and the nearby fort. Confederate infantry will surely rush to their aid, but if we act fast, we could overrun the defensive positions before they arrive. Our soldiers have been ordered forward and they are moving up on the double. I've also sent out a couple skirmishers to figure out where the enemy actually is. Let's hope we are not getting bogged down like we have been in the north. The Confederates have 6,000 soldiers and 9 artillery pieces, while we have 14,596 guns. Let's get Braxton's skirmishers forward. It looks like these positions are more or less open. But I'm sure we are soon going to encounter resistance. Let's get everyone up. And yes, there are 300 soldiers that are guarding these positions. There are 300 more. Let's get the man on to their work. It looks like we might be able to get over here into the defensive line. Sweeney, you need to deal with Young. Yes, there is a small opening that we have to hope to exploit. Cardwell is rushing forward. Let's hope that these skirmishers can hold out long enough so that we can get through Ransom. Sweeney skirmishers, you can reattach. You are just blobbing up our lines. These boys need to push up. Garnet, can I get you forward over here? Garnet skirmishers down here, please. And it appears that we are able to open up on Ransom. We have the M1841 Mississippi in the area. That should be sufficient. And I want Griffin to charge down these skirmishers. Can we get... No, Braxton needs to hold out, but he can shift slightly so that he's not getting outflanked. And it appears that there actually is no one down here. Let's make sure we can get through the enemy lines. We have some 10-pounders and some 12-pounders coming up. These guns are still getting held back. And I want Burnside to also move forward. Multiple brigades are focusing on Young. These boys should be destroyed soon. Cardwell skirmishers are unfortunately falling back. And we have encountered more resistance. Unfortunate but not avoidable. Can we get Garnet skirmishers in the south to sneak behind the enemy lines? These skirmishers can reattach. Ransom is trying to get into these positions. Let's order a quick charge. Hopefully we are able to break him before he can settle in. This charge unfortunately got repelled. And Garnet skirmishers got repelled by 800 more soldiers over here. Let's get our forces to focus on one target at a time. I think this position should be possible to flank. Sweeney, you need to focus over here. Sweeney skirmishers, I want you on Young. Cardwell skirmishers, you have to sacrifice yourself to buy us time over here. These artillery pieces are arriving and also able to open up. Cardwell is routing. Can I get Sweeney's force back down away from Young? We are trying not to break this line anymore. Hopefully we can simply ignore it. Griffin is blocked. We need to move him forward. And Cardwell is withdrawing under heavy casualties. Let's get these skirmishers reattached. And it can only be a matter of time until these boys break. Yet they are holding out remarkably well. Sweeney, you're going to help with the attack on Young. Cardwell is back. He has suffered over 200 casualties already. We are taking severe casualties in this fight. I want him to attack Ransom to maybe deplete the enemy over here. Garnet skirmishers can reattach. And it is truly amazing that the enemy is still holding out. Young is running out of ammunition. That is at least something. Can we get Sweeney forward? Maybe Ransom's flank is more or less open. Cardwell skirmishers, can we get you over here? No, there is another brigade up there. Cardwell skirmishers can reattach. There is no point for them to stay around. And these men are now also running out of ammunition. Burnside's morale is unfortunately crumbling. Let's get him back. There Burnside is running. Unfortunately, our morale is not good. Can we get Braxton back for a short moment? to get him out of the fire of the enemy. Braxton, stop. And now we simply need to wait until one side gives up. Burnside is now running completely. Garnett is hopefully able to hold out. His morale is looking good. Griffin is also now recovering his morale. Let's get Braxton up again. Braxton already took over 500 casualties. And Garnett is now getting flanked. We need to withdraw him, otherwise we're going to take a lot more unnecessary casualties. I wonder how it is possible that they are holding out so well. We can see that Duvon is trying to charge us. Garnett, get ready. Wheel around. Well, an unfortunately missed opportunity, yet we are able to open up on the enemy. Burnside, move forward. It looks like we are doing far better in the north, but still no breakthrough could be achieved. I want some of our 10 pounders to help against Young. Maybe this is going to work out into our favor. Let's get these 12 pounders closer to the field. And I guess in 10 minutes the Confederates are going to receive reinforcements. And as of right now, we are completely unable to break this line. But maybe a charge under Griffin is going to secure us an opening. Let's get him in. We have 3 brigades in total that are shooting on this unit. Yes, finally some developments in the area. Let's get Burnside forward. Let's get Griffin to build up a position over here. And to open up on the rear of Young. If we are unable to break through the Confederate lines before they get heavily reinforced, we will have a massive problem on our hand. Young is falling back. Let's get Sweeney forward. Let's get Braxton forward. Finally something is going according to plan, but we are massively behind schedule. We can see that these boys are trying to get back into position, but we were able to repel them. Sweeney, get up. And the battle rages on the trenches. Our next reinforcements have been delayed. Probably our commanders got lost on the road. We must continue our attack without them, knowing that the rebels are still growing stronger. Well, this is not good, but at least we have some of our forces finally behind the enemy, and we have some forces of the enemy running. Let's get these boys forward. McRae is trying to get onto positions. Let's get Brewster forward. And let's get these 10 pounders forward on Cut's artillery. Down here we are still trying to figure out if there is an opening down here. And we still have multiple enemy forces behind our lines. I want Whittaker skirmishers as a rear guard. And over here we can get... No, we can't get Bidwell forward, but we can get Price to move forward. We can get Scales forward. And we can get Canfield behind Sims. I also want Garfield behind these enemy lines. Over to the north we are repelling King, Kelly, Kraft and the Iron Brigade need to move up. They need to move up on the double, and we need to get our artillery to prioritize enemy guns under Hugger. I think these artillery battery and these artillery battery over here are one of the reasons we were not able to break through yet. But over here we are behind enemy lines and we are pushing. Let's order these brigades to move forward. And actually I want Heinzelmann as a rear guard to make sure that the enemy does not liberate their friends who have surrendered. Canfield, you're going to open up on Sims. And the rebels have dispatched more infantry to hold the trenches. Some enemy soldiers are finally falling back. Sims is falling back. Let's get these men forward. Finally, the casualties are too big for the enemy to withhold. These 12 pounders, I want them down here. And now we need to hope that the Confederates are not going to advance in a way that is going to stop our advance. We have breaking through over here, but under catastrophic casualties. Haskell has lost over 800 of his men. Seymour can move up. And looks like the line down here has completely broken. Let's get our artillery forward as well. Let's get our generals and our supplies forward as well. I hope that as soon as we have arrived there, the resistance of the enemy has broken down. And the Confederate cavalry appears on our flanks. Of course, they do. Craft. Shift. You need to stop them. We have completely lost the control of the battlefield in the north. We still have to deal with multiple enemy forces in our south. And Garfield, you need to stop the charging McRae. We have Heinzelmann coming up as a rear guard. And we can send these soldiers forward as well. We have almost taken these positions. I want Page and Bragg to deal with the enemy over here. We are taking the trench positions down here. Price, can I get you forward? Can I get Skates forward and Bidwell forward? And General Beauregard has been spotted commanding his brigade. He is also reinforcing the rebels, but I do not know from where they're coming. Oh well, it turns out we actually do know from where they are coming, and they're coming where we are prepared. Wonderful! Let's get the boys set up, while we still crush the Confederate forces that are stuck behind our lines. We still have Cook down here, but this is the last serious resistance. Let's get some 6-pounders and 10-pounders moving over here. Lane surrendered. Wonderful. And he should be the only unit behind our lines. I also believe that the rest of our rear should be relatively safe. We have Mayer over here. We had McRae behind our lines. But I hope he has not moved back in this direction. Let's get Heinzelmann skirmishers in the area. And let's get Page over the river. We have Toon also coming up. Barry and Whittaker can also move forward, so that we can try to box the rebels in. Yes, there is McRae. Garfield, move up. Sharps, retreat. Over here, Skates and Price, move forward. We can see more Confederates running. Finally, we can see them running. 6-pounders move up over here. The Young's cavalry is getting repelled. We have Lomax over here. Let's get Croft forward. Lomax tries to get our general. We need to stop that from happening. Come on, Croft. Shoot him in the rear. Good volley. The Iron Brigade is down to 1,300 soldiers. Severe casualties and very little impact on the battle. I have not treating these soldiers to the best of their abilities, and we have to get our surrenderies back. The Confederates still have soldiers, and rebel artillery has been spotted over here. We have Palmer coming up. I need to get Barry back, but we are at least able to mop up this resistance. Now we can move down with these soldiers. Seymour can also move up. Let's hope Lane makes it off the battlefield. Grant move forward. Davies move forward. Some of our soldiers are running out of ammunition. There is Davies. Let's make sure these boys move in a way that they cannot get liberated. And let's get these men down here to help. Page is running away. Let's get Garfield up. Hugger's artillery is still on the field somehow. These 10-pounders, can you silence those guns for good while we are advancing with the rest of our forces onto the Confederate rear? And in the meantime, we have Cook over here trying to repel the enemy. Thomas surrendered. Thomas got liberated. This is a real shame. These are 650 soldiers that we now have to fight again. Whittaker, move up on the enemy flank. Toon, move up over here. How is this situation looking? We have these men trying to get into our rear. Let's get some boys forward as a rear guard. These men can move up over here. Artillery is setting up. And we can now hope that we are able to break through the enemy in the north. Nagel push up. Iron Brigade got routed. Scales move forward on the flank of Goodwin. Price needs to deal with Miller's artillery. There is Cartelli and Brown. Kraft is holding our north. Our artillery in this corps has been severely depleted. And enemy skirmishers have retaken old positions. Can we get Brewster's skirmishers out? We are going to order them not to fire, and we want those supplies. Down here, Haskell can get forward on this position. Seymour skirmishers can reattach. Bidwell skirmishers, can you try to hunt down Scales so that we can get these depleted brigades forward? Brooks skirmishers, I want them over here as a rear guard. Goodwin surrendered and some supplies have surrendered. Where's Goodwin? There he is. 400 men. Wonderful. These captured supplies can get to our artillery. And Brewster's skirmishers can get into the rear of Garnett. Now, these skirmishers, I want them to hold up over here. Sorry, Brewster, you can continue over here. How is the situation to our north looking? We have multiple brigades that are holding us back quite effectively. Garfield, outflank them. Scales, Whitting and Nagel push forward. 28 minutes remaining, but this should hopefully not be the end of the battle if we are unable to make it. Kelly, you're going to push to our north. 6-pounders, 12-pounders and 10-pounders move up. And I hope I do not have to send soldiers down here to help hold this, because we still have multiple enemy forces in our rear, but I'm not really willing to commit more forces. More enemy artillery must be held up over here. Cook is taking severe casualties. Perry surrendered, and we are able to drive the enemy down here. We are able to box them in and hopefully annihilate them so that they can never return onto the battlefield. The rest of our soldiers can prepare for the next phase of the battle. There's Perry. Let's get him down to our gathering point, because our rear is still not safe. Scales push up. Whitting push up on the double. Nagel get forward on Jarrett. These boys get forward over here. Artillery get closer. And Kelly move forward as our rear guard. Let's try to get our soldiers back in one big block. These soldiers are exhausted. Let's try to withdraw them also for a short minute. And Heinzelmann skirmishers can reattach. We are now securing the next command post. These skirmishers can move forward, and these soldiers can also prepare for the next phase of the fight. Starhell, I want you to deal with Garnett. The same goes with Haskell. I want these two brigades destroyed. Heinzelmann skirmishers need to deal with Davies. Tarrant surrendered and then got liberated. Whiting is routing. 1,100 soldiers only remaining. These are some terrible numbers. Tarrant, who was unwilling to actually pull through with his surrender, now got destroyed. Price get forward. And Nagel is hopefully able to also destroy Simmons. Well, Simmons is still on the field, but we are pushing forward. We have 4 massive batteries in this area. Garfield got routed. Let's get support up. Let's get these boys up. And Heinzelmann skirmishers can continue to reattach. And we are informed that the rebel cavalry is continuing their defense of the fort. Meanwhile, the Confederate dismounted cavalry is still resisting near the fort. We are now getting more reinforcements that will aid our advance. The fort must be held till nightfall, or else our plan to assault Richmond will fail. Confederate infantry will soon arrive, so it's advised to attack more aggressively. Well, aggression is the only thing that we are displaying at the moment. And finally we have been able to break through the Confederate lines, so let's hope we can make the enemy pay. We are trying to exploit the gap that we have opened up, and all of the reinforcements are going to run through it. Let's make sure the men advance on the double. Garnett is in a melee with Lomax, it seems. Burnside needs to push up. We need Griffin to move forward. And we have to make sure that we can get towards the fort and towards the river before the Confederates can get too many reinforcements in. Burnside is going to get rear flanked. Let's order him to move on the double. And Garnett can move forward. These artillery pieces can continue to move up. These men can continue to move up. And these men can move up over here. All of them move on the double. And we can now once more send out Garnett's skirmishers. Hopefully we are able to hit some of their artillery. Burnside, move down as well. Griffin and Braxton. Braxton, you need to deal with these soldiers on your flank. Where are our fresh reinforcements? There they are. I want these men to move up over here. These men are going to encircle the fort from the north. And the rest of our soldiers need to make sure that they're not getting stopped over here. 10 pounders open up with these on these soldiers. Is Garnett actually able to get on most of these guns? Yes, it looks like it. Good. Burnside, you need to push up over here. And I hear charges, but I can't see any. Maybe the enemy stopped their assault. 10 pounders get closer. There he is. Griffin, you're going to move on the double. Get on the flank. Yes. One group of skirmishers annihilated. These men get forward over here. Forward over here. 10 pounders move up. And now it is time to get this fort isolated and destroyed. I also want our 12 pounders to open up over here, and the rebels are getting support. We can get these soldiers up in this section. We can get Caldwell behind the rear over here. We can get Penrose forward. And General Anderson is attacking with Hoke's division. There the Confederates are advancing. I'm going to get Braxton and Schultz to move up over here. Griffin, I also want you to push up over here. We still have plenty of time to deal with the fort. Now let's focus on the counterattack. Penrose, I want you over here. Moody, you need to deal with Haggett. You severely outnumber the enemy. This should be relatively easy for you. And it looks like we are slowly dwindling down the enemy artillery. Let's get these skirmishers reattached. Let's get Bloomer forward. Let's get Porter forward over here. Let's get Mahone forward over here. Braxton and Schultz move up. Griffin move through Reed. And Penrose, you can move up on Wallace. I'm going to get your skirmishers out to make sure your flank is safe from the enemy cavalry. And these artillery pieces can move up over here. And Griffin is now greeted by a wall of soldiers. He needs to stop the enemy advance. Braxton, you need to get on bearing up. Braxton, why are you opening your rear? Just shift in this direction, hold your ground and fire your rifle. Well, it looks like we're shooting in this direction, but are still hitting the enemy. That is fine by me. What is not fine by me is that these soldiers got through our lines. McCord, Moody, ignore the Confederate cavalry. Cardwell and Penrose, your skirmishers are going to move down here. And for some reason I can't click anywhere on the field as soon as this unit is in the rough area. Blume, can you deal with Lomax skirmishers? Porter, move up. Schultz, move up. And down here we have Haggett stuck in the water. Let's get our men forward. Sweeney is going to have Penrose and Cardwell to isolate those units. And now our artillery is under danger. Let's make sure our artillery that is not in contact still focuses on the much bigger threat up here. Porter and Griffin push through Reed. And if you're able to get onto the next defensive line, Moody, I want you to charge down Colt. McCord, slaughter the enemy in the river. Penrose, shift and deal with Wallace. Finally, we were able to drive away those guns. Down here we are dealing with Reed's artillery. Griffin is pushing up. Porter is pushing up. Braxton skirmishers, can they figure out what the enemy has on the other side of the river? Braxton, I want you to push up as well. Sweeney, I want you to fall back slightly. Wallace is out in the open. Duvant is behind our lines. These cavalrymen are going to continue to be a thorn in our side, and they also are still behind our lines. Lomax, I want you over here so that we can outflank the fort. Griffin forward on Colquitt. Porter forward on Colquitt. Braxton is getting over the river. McCord and Moody deal with Colt and deal with Haggett so that we can build up a breachhead. Some cavalry over here has been destroyed. Let's get Sweeney down. Or not, as Kirkland is still in the area. Wallace is holding out, and he's holding out remarkably well. We are taking a lot of casualties. Let's order these men to fall back. We need to focus on the fort anyway. We are able to drive away good. Now Burnside, push up. And everyone focus on these soldiers. 12 pounders and 10 pounders. Still focus your fire on Grace. You're not ordered to fire well yet. Schultz, get over. It looks like Haggett was able to get back to their own lines, but we are hopefully able to stop anything like that in the future. These men, I want them over here. And I want to begin the transfer of our artillery further to the north. Lomax is about to close in the fort. We could theoretically send someone in these fortifications. Grace is routing. Mosley is almost destroyed. Mahone and Burnside capture these positions. Lomax push through the enemy. And Blume is going to do the same. And we are now securing the southern fort. We are going to ignore Kirkland. Sweeney, I also want you in the north. These boys I want down here. Caldwell, I'm going to send you also on these fortifications. You have already bled severely. So you definitely deserve this break. Mahone, move forward. Blume, open up on Good's flank. We have to contest the fort for 56 minutes. Unless our objectives change in the meantime. Schultz, get forward so that you can get on the flank of Haggett. There is no need to run for you at the moment though. McCord, I also want you forward. I also want Moody forward. We can see that there are heavy Dressbergs over here. So if we could get as close to them as possible, this would be absolutely awesome. Griffin, move up. We still have McKeithen in the area. Penrose, move forward. You can stop running at the moment. And I also want Garnett further to the north. Enemy soldiers are still in the area. Let's get Gibson, Webb and our skirmish line back. And at least this front is behaving as it should. Griffin, I want you to open up on the open position of McKeithen. Yes, there he is running. Porter, you're going to focus on Donovan's cavalry. Wonderful flanking fire. Now push up. Penrose, you're going to march on Colquitt. And these men are going to continue their hunt down here. If necessary, we're going to hunt these soldiers all the way to the river. And the soldiers that are still stuck in these trenches over here can be happy that they have survived the slaughter. Sweeney and Schultz, you're going to move forward. Sweeney skirmishers, I want them over here. Griffin, move over. Can we get some of our 12 pounders and 10 pounders over? Schultz's skirmishers can reattach. And we can push up. Lomax is getting rear flanked. Blume, charge down Gracie. Wonderful volley. Now Lomax, can you charge or are you too tired to do so? Well, we weren't able to reach the enemy. Gracie is falling back, however, and we should be able to annihilate them with the next volley. Yes. Good is now also stepping backwards. He is almost below. Yes, now he is below 300 soldiers. Let's get our soldiers up. And now we must prevail. More of our brigades finally arrive on the battlefield. Secure the trenches before nightfall, or else our offensive cannot continue. We are now receiving some forces of our 3rd Corps. Let's get them forward. This way we should also be able to flush out the remaining resistance in those woods. And I also want some more skirmishers to hold our main objective. These forces are almost No, down here we have completely destroyed enemy resistance. Let's get Bidwell up here. Smith's battery is in the area. Can we get Cook forward to deal with them? Barry, you need to get forward over here. And I also want Kraft and the Iron Brigade to deal with this flank. Kelly can stay where they are. These men can push forward. Well, let's hope we can get Scales behind the enemy lines. Whiting can also move up. And down here I want our farmers and our reboards to attack Thomas. Some enemy artillery is luckily withdrawing thanks to our volleys. Sims got destroyed. We can see that Gerald is down to 300 men that he is routing. And we hear melee fighting in those woods. Yes, we are moving through the enemy. Some skirmishers broke. These skirmishers are soon going to follow, and then we can get the enemy surrenderies out. Sensing the danger, we can see that McRae and Thomas are moving forward. Banning surrendered. Wonderful, down south you go. Crawley is almost destroyed. Palmer is getting boxed in. How is the situation up north looking? We have some supplies in the far northern edge of the field. Let's order Scales to move up. Price and Nagel move forward. There's Gerald with his 300 soldiers. Let's get Kelly back up. And we can see that the enemy is withdrawing to our north and General Ewell is sighted. Where is he coming from? Wonderful, directly from where we do not have much forces at the moment. Let's get the boys back to build up a defensive line. And let's get Heinzelmann over here in case that more forces are coming up on this direction. These men can move up over here. These men, you are going to move up over here. Scalesman, can you finally get those supplies? Down here we need to drive Anderson off his position. Haskell's artillery has withdrawn. Kelly, move forward and pay back for all of the damage that you have received. This brigade is getting melted down. Wonderful. And we have Crawley with 250 soldiers behind our lines. Cook with 160 soldiers is still on the field. Let's get some skirmishers forward to deal with that before we lose the control of our trenches. And I want Garvey to move up, Bidwell to move up, and Whiting to move up. Price, Nagel and Scales, you're going to continue the hunt on the enemy. More Confederates just broke and reinforcements are coming in. We have Deering skirmishers down here. We know that these soldiers broke and they are so foolish to get back onto their fortifications. Wonderful. Bidwell, would you be so kind to cut off Crawley? And we can see that Chrisman is down to 260 soldiers. Soon going to be completely annihilated. Let's make sure that Cook opens up an alley of attack for more of our soldiers. Iron Brigade is struggling against Gary. I want Bidwell to move forward on the flank of those soldiers. And we have been ordered to move forward onto the enemy fort. Although we secured the trenches, it is of utmost importance to capture the fort near the city. Otherwise, we will not be able to launch our next attack towards Richmond. And with that, we get another massive wave of reinforcements that we are directing forward. For the moment, I'm just ordering them forward in a massive line, and we will disperse these soldiers from there. We know that there is still some resistance in the area. We know that the Confederates still have some forces down here that we continue to encircle. And we know that they might get some reinforcements from these positions. But we definitely made sure that they cannot use those defensive lines against us. Schultz's skirmishers can reattach. These artillery pieces can move forward. And thanks to all of these preparations, we should hopefully be able to annihilate the enemy force. Our third corps took almost 4% casualties. Our fourth corps is of course completely fresh. And of our second corps, I cannot see a complete overload. And our attack took too much time. Confederate infantry is approaching and Braxton's skirmishers have surrendered. Okay, they got directly attacked by the enemy. That is now on this vantage point. Let's redirect some of our forces. To make sure that we are not getting another nasty surprise. Over here our soldiers are pushing forward. Let's make sure that McLellan and our supplies stay behind for a brief moment. And let's also make sure that we shoot down the last remaining resistance down here. Our artillery can move up. These skirmishers can move up over here. And I want these soldiers to immediately focus further to our north. We can see that the Confederates have abandoned their positions, which could mean that we are able to get them in the water. There we have Wallace. And we have Lomax's skirmishers. Let's push forward. And let's get the general and the supplies forward. I am surprised that the Confederates were willing to recapture their old trench line. Let's make sure we do not suffer the same bloodbath as before. These three remaining brigades should be more than strong enough to deal with the undersprings Gracie on their own. Stafford, open up. Do not get too close, and we can see that the enemy is in fact setting up their forces in the water. Let's get all soldiers forward so that we can hurt them before they can get to better ground. These men are moving forward. And I think I'm going to leave Mahone, Penrose and Porter as a rearguard over here. Gracie should at last be defeated by our soldiers who are defending the fort. The enemy was able to get out of the water. Our soldiers are pushing up, and it looks like they try to reinforce the trench line. I do not know exactly why. Maybe they hope they can box us in this way. We can see Gracie coming up with 180 soldiers. Kirkland setting up with his 600. And looks like they're trying to stop our reinforcements from coming in. But in 16 minutes we will have this position under control anyways. We only have to contest it for 14 minutes, then I think the fort is going to be counted as a position held. We can see that these forces are already trying to reach our lines. Lomax, you're going to attack Kirkland. Blume, you're also going to attack Kirkland. And we are going to make the enemy suffer. We are taking significant casualties on these lines, but we have, for example, units like Lomax 93 remaining skirmishers who shouldn't be able to do much of a difference now. Torbert, I want you to charge. McLennan, get forward to motivate the men. Lomax is now wavering. Why couldn't have been our first attack this easy? Yes, the enemy got annihilated. Kirkland is also falling back. Gracie has also already been defeated. And it is time to send Garfield forward. Moody's numbers are dropping, but we are late. General Gordon's counterattack with his division. But it does not matter, as we are now proceeding to the next day. The Battle of Richmond continues, and during the night I have replaced all of our killed and wounded officers with fresh personnel. And we are expecting a last resistance of the Confederate Army with 20,500 soldiers and 166 artillery pieces. And on our side we still have over 143,000 soldiers and 539 guns. Casualties were high, but we are still moving forward. Yesterday we succeeded in securing the eastern entrenchments by penetrating and capturing the command post located here. All the way south. Continuing at New Bridge Road. And ending at Williamsburg Road. We also captured the fort that commanded this strategic area. Today we are going to attack the east side of Richmond, and this is not going to be easy. 5 forts and strong trench networks surround the city. 2 forts are dominating the southeast defenses. A powerful star fort is guarding the eastern route to Richmond. Another Confederate fort is located further north. And lastly, this one is blocking the north side of the city. Our army is going to begin the attack from this direction. When the Confederate begins shifting their forces to the north, we will start a simultaneous attack from the east. And southeast. We have to progressively capture all the forts. This will allow us to proceed to the town and force the remaining rebels to surrender. General, we are ready to attack. At your command. This fort must be captured in order to secure our advance from the north. In about 2 hours, the rest of our army will attack simultaneously from all sides. At the moment, the Confederates only have 3,400 soldiers and 32 guns on the field. They are severely outnumbered, but we have seen yesterday how willing they are to defend everything to the last man. This is going to be another hard fight, but I hope that we've depleted the enemy strong enough to allow a swift breakthrough. Our objectives are simple. We have to either capture all of the forts and Richmond itself, or we have to inflict 90% casualties onto the enemy, basically annihilating their entire force. If we are successful with that, we can also claim victory, because there is no one left to oppose us. Can we get these skirmishers? Nope. These skirmishers can stay behind, but can we get our sharp snipers forward on Braxton? This way we should hopefully be able to damage their artillery before they can do too much damage to our own forces. 10 pounders also open up on Braxton. And down here we have an opening in the Confederate line. I want black skirmishers to make sure we're not getting surprised from the south, as we are currently streaming through the remaining enemy positions. Sharp snipers have been repelled, but they at least dealt some damage. These men can reattach, and Brigadier General Jared Katz is killed. More of our artillery is advancing. I want everything to focus on these directions. And Kraft has found more enemy artillery. Ideally, we are able to encircle the fort before we commit to an all-out attack. This is of course going to cost another life. This is of course going to cost a couple life. These skirmishers are able to open up on the enemy guns. And Bragg's forces have also arrived on the side of the enemy. Bragg is one of our most successful units so far, killed almost 2,000 enemies and only suffered 400 casualties. Now let's make sure we annihilate Anderson. And the Iron Brigade is moving up down here. Let's get these soldiers to move forward. And we are of course going to make sure that we have our flank down here more or less protected. Let's also get some of our artillery forward on this way. And let's get the snipers back in to attack the enemy artillery. These skirmishers can reattach. And now we have to unfortunately order an attack on Williams. We are unable to break the fort unless we put our forces in danger. Cook, Kraft, Canfield and Allen are moving forward. They are unfortunately already very much depleted. Scales and Nagel are also getting ready. I want them to move down here to be our rear guard. We can see that Anderson already was able to regain their composure. Braxton is falling back, Williams is falling back, Whittaker and Warren move forward on Wageman. These boys move forward on Fry. And these artillery pieces can move forward. These 10 pounders can focus on Fry, these 12 pounders on Wageman. Whitting move up. These sharps move forward again, these supplies can move down, and our general can also move down. Anderson is coming up in the water. Alan, would you be so kind? Canfield and Cook, you can move up over here. Iron Brigade can also move down. I don't think they are needed. Scales can get into this gap. And we are pushing forward. Fry is routing. Style is also falling back. And he has now regained his composure. Low is still there, but we are now rushing into the fort. And I want Warren to later take position over here. The same goes with Kite. And where is Kraft? Kraft is also going to get into the fort. They are almost completely depleted. There's absolutely no point for them to stay further on the battlefield. I would love to give more of our soldiers a break, but this is unfortunately not possible. Now, let's get the remaining soldiers further onto the enemy sides, so that we can push forward. And in the meantime, we have to hunt the enemy down here. Nagel, Bragg and Scales, you can move forward. Braxton's artillery is a massive threat that we need to hunt down. And we could actually leave some artillery behind, but I think our guns are still in good condition, so we don't have to do that. One enemy unit destroyed. And Nagel is now also setting up. Move on the double. And everyone else move forward and annihilate the enemy, so that we can stop their resistance. Every man that we annihilate right now is not going to resist us in the future. Canfield is moving up. I'm also going to send Cook down just in case some of the enemy break through. Let's just hope they're not now getting reinforcements from down here or from down here. Otherwise our flanks would collapse. Stahl, you're going to stay here. Wageman surrendered. Or Wagerman. He had the Enfield. No wonder the Confederates were so good at resisting us yesterday. Canfield charged down Williams. He has also surrendered. And he had the Harper's Ferry. Low is the only unit still on the field. Canfield, can you charge again? No, you can't. But he has now also surrendered, and now we are ordered to commence an attack from the east. This went swimmingly. Finally, some good news. The majority of our brigades can now attack the east side of the town. Do not hesitate, bring your men forward. Our main target are the forts. Concentrate all your firepower near the forts. This one and this powerful star fort. Proceed with caution. The next phase of the battle is opening up, and we have roughly 100,000 soldiers and 353 artillery pieces on the battlefield, while the Confederates have more or less 5,000 men and 85 guns. We have a massive wave of soldiers coming in from over here. And I hope I have not forgotten too many of them while giving out new orders. Let's hope we can quickly silence these artillery pieces before they tear our soldiers apart, while the rest of our men are deploying. And let's also make sure that these soldiers are moving up on the double quick. Let's get McClellan forward, and I'm sure the Confederates are going to have people resisting us in those earthworks. Sharps, can you get forward on those guns? These soldiers are outflanking Lightfoot and Howard. And the rest of our men are setting up and moving forward. These Sharps are routing. It is to be expected. I have sent them onto a position and into a fight that they cannot win. But at least we are able to push forward. It looks like over here there is no resistance to speak of. And we are standing everyone forward. I want these Cook and Brother Musketeers to take care of those supplies and then to continue us. And we have found some enemy supplies out in the open. Can I order these hunters to move forward on those artillery pieces and in the meantime capture some of their supplies? And it looks like the majority of the Confederate army is bunkering down in those forts. A smart decision, but it is not going to help them. Well, we are unable to get those supplies this easily, but we have cavalry for that. Let's get our cavalry down. Let's get these soldiers also to move forward. I have not ordered them this far out because I was expecting resistance. Let's get everyone up. Down here, Hoffman can move forward. The same goes with Willig and Garfield. These soldiers can begin the encirclement of the Star Fort, or at least the approach of the Star Fort. Over here there is an opening that would simply allow the enemy to shoot us down. But we are currently working on the destruction of this fort. We are sending our soldiers forward, and while we are moving up, we are going to continue the hunt on enemy guns. If we make sure that they cannot reinforce their forts, we should be able to break through. And of course, everyone who can open up on enemy artillery lines. Our supplies have been held back. Let's order them closer to the front line. And we have apparently only an hour to capture those forts. We can see that Johnson is falling back. We can send Kirk forward, Stewart forward, Mahone forward. And Starr can move up as well over here. Let's get these men up and running. And hope we break those fortifications quick enough. These men can also move forward. And Whittaker can move forward to make sure that Johnson cannot retreat. Our artillery line over here and our supplies. I want them to move up over here, but we should better group them up a little bit. But this way we should be able to maximize our fire spot. Hughes has surrendered for a moment, but then decided that he wants to continue his fight and that he definitely wants to die here. And only a few men are still resisting in the northern fort. The rest is withdrawn. Atkinson's battery is almost destroyed. Another battery has apparently already broken down. We have supplies down here that I would like to capture. We will see if that is possible. Whitting deal with Hughes. Make sure he learns what surrendering means. Stafford's men are bleeding down. 500 casualties sustained, only 65 enemies destroyed, and I think that he is a fresh unit. Alan, you are going to remain on these fortifications. Do we have another unit? Yes, Whitting. Whitting can also stay behind. And now it is time to send the rest of our forces forward once again. And after some quick chaotic orders have been given out, the battle can truly continue. Gary now surrendered. He has the Springfield M1842. Apparently we are not the only ones who are arming their soldiers terribly. Let's get him off the battlefield. Garfield can make himself prepared together with Canfield to rest in the fort once we have taken it out. Hardaway's battery has been almost destroyed. Yes, they're gone. Johnson is also outside of the fortifications. Let's make sure they regret that. And unfortunately, the Star Fort is holding out quite well. Canfield has destroyed over 1,900 Confederates, but lost over 1,600 of his men. Hughes was able to reach these fortifications. And I want to make sure that these soldiers are guarding our rear. More of our men are moving up over here. These artillery pieces can also continue to move down. And these men are also moving down. Unfortunately, it takes them forever to arrive, and at the moment that they are there, the fort line has already shifted. Wonderful. Johnson's battery is almost destroyed. They're routing. Johnson's battery is suffering. Hughes is falling back. Let's get McCord in this small gap down here. Canfield is behind our lines, waiting for his position in the fort. And finally some artillery support is beginning to arrive. We have lost Lieutenant Colonel Timothy Kirk. And soon the rest of the fort should panic and fall back. Johnson is down to 98 soldiers. Nelson down to 191. Let's get Hoffman forward. McCord on the double. And it is actually quite nice to see that we are able to bleed out the enemy. Garfield is down to 1,100 soldiers. Let's get Whittaker forward and Garfield back. Kirk is also taking severe casualties, but we have an opening. Cook, move forward. And I want Lawman to also move forward. Hoffman, can you get forward over here? Archer should also fall back soon. And we can see that the massive force over here is now finally coming up. Let's send them forward further. Major General George Meade is wounded. And we have to shoot down this massive blob of enemies in this area. Unfortunately, these boys do not want to give up yet. But I'm sure we can get through them. Hoffman, I want you to deal with Hughes. The same goes with Cook. Deal with Nelson. As long as we can keep their artillery routed, they lose their best asset. We need to contest the northern fort for over 21 minutes, and we still have to capture Fort Jackson. We only have 27 minutes left. Hughes tries to run and now surrendered, and he surrendered now for good. He also has the M1842, nothing fancy. And finally, over here, Archer is falling back. Let's get the man closer to the fort. Archer has also surrendered. Let's get him off the battlefield. And it looks like the Confederate equipment is completely done. Hodson has also now surrendered. He has the Enfield. Nash tries to charge, but he is going to be dealt with. So let's order a charge. Where is Canfield? There he is. Let's get him into the fort. Do I spy with my little eye another unit that is almost done? Well, not yet. And the attack from the south has begun. While our forces attack Richmond from north and east, more of your corps are starting to attack from the south. We must climb the high ground and storm this fort. And the other next to it. Then the way to Richmond will be open. The battle can begin and our soldiers are moving forward. I left a small guard at this fort, and it looks like some of our soldiers are still exhausted from yesterday's battle. To our northeast, a brigade under Page has been close enough to our forces to reinforce, and maybe we are able to get them behind enemy lines. And we can see that the Confederates have 3,700 soldiers, while we have over 31,000. The plan right now is to hopefully outflank the enemy over here, take Richmond and roll up the forts from this way. This way we would drive the enemy into the river and should have a relatively easy time finishing them off. Can I get Brewster skirmishers forward to figure out what the enemy has on those fortifications? Our artillery is still moving forward. Grand move up. And over here I want Page's skirmishers to move up as well. Page is going to be left as a reserve until we know what is in the area. Custer, make it on the double. And I'm ordering these units to cross. So far we have not found enemy resistance. And we can see that Page's skirmishers have been hit. I am absolutely certain that they have something on those forts. Can we get Braxton's skirmishers out? Maybe we can get an eye on them. And it looks like we have dealt so severe casualties that the Confederates were not able to man those trenches. Page, can I get you further over here? Because I do not want Page's main force to be sent over unless we know that the way is clear. These men are moving up. Artillery is getting ready. So far, no sign of the enemy. Griffin skirmishers can also move forward. We know that they have something over here and over here. And there we have 1,000 men under Ransom and Wallace holding back the northeastern positions. Which is a crucial mistake of the Confederates, because this means they only have 2,700 infantry left on the field. Brewster, Seymour and Brooks, I want you to move forward onto Richmond. The rest of our boys, get ready over here. Kirkland is on this line, meaning that the Confederates have already loosed up 1,500 of their soldiers. The rest of their men must be in here, and maybe over here. Maybe a skeleton crew is even trying to protect Richmond itself. Let's get Sweeney and Braxton over here. And let's order Page to advance. But let's order him to advance carefully. They cannot fight down the soldiers. Page is completely fresh and he has a terrible rifle. So we have to make sure that he can only attack once the enemy is already occupied. Let's get our artillery over. Davies, move over. And I want these skirmishers to move up over here. Page's skirmishers, can you figure out what is in those fields? And it looks like we have successfully snuck by the Confederate lines. There is artillery under haze. There are 800 soldiers under coward, meaning that there can only be a skeleton crew in this fortification. And I assume their remaining guns. Let's get these men forward. Let's get these men forward over here. And the rest of our soldiers can now also begin to cross. I'm surprised that Kirkland didn't open up fire yet. And as soon as Seymour, Berry and Toon have reached these positions, we can start to move in with Page, Heinzelmann and Caldwell. Oh well, let's order them forward already. I think it is not going to take them much longer to arrive. These men are capturing Richmond. I want them in a defensive position. And I also want Bidwell to move up over here. Artillery is moving up over here. We are now officially securing Richmond. And I think the fact that we are isolating those rebels in those forts that they are unable to hold forever should be enough to make a surrender for them ever sweeter. Cardwell just took a massive hit. His soldiers are bleeding out. Let's make sure these skirmishers reattach. And as soon as we have repelled Kirkland, we should be good to go to attack Ox. Can we get Page down here? I do not know what they have. They have 200 soldiers. Maybe he is strong enough to get them destroyed. Seymour is moving forward. Barry is moving forward. Page has his skirmishers back. Let's get everyone to focus fire on those artillery pieces. Cardwell is soon going to fall back. And there we have Kirkland running. We have found more enemy artillery. Let's get everyone forward. Sweeney, you're going to attack over here. Page is going to attack from this direction. And I want Garnett to also help in the defense of Richmond in the case that the Confederates get some reinforcements. Hayes' artillery is already falling back. Let's get very forward. These soldiers we are simply going to ignore. And we are pushing up. These skirmishers can reattach. Burnside can move forward on those artillery pieces or on whatever else is closer to his side. And now our attack officially continues from all sides. I guess because we captured Richmond this early. The rebels are desperately defending to the last man. It is madness to keep attacking. Men fall like flies from rifle fire and cannon shots. But we must continue. Advance! Advance to the city. Meanwhile, the Confederate cavalry has been spotted operating to our flanks and possess a real threat to attack us at any time now. Well, I do not know what men they are talking about that are falling. Definitely not mine. Let's quickly figure out who I want to send to the north. I'm going to send these brigades forward to help, but apparently the Confederate cavalry that was supposed to attack us on the flank no longer exist. And now the rebels try whatever they can to defend the south. The Confederates are not giving up their ground. Thousands die, but we must continue the advance. Give them steel. Charge! More Confederate cavalry is threatening our other flank. Their attack is imminent. Brace yourself. Well, if this Confederate cavalry is as non-existent as the other cavalry, I'm not too worried. Burnside, open up fire. And Page has arrived on the field. Wonderful, wonderful. Burnside, you can shoot at whatever you have in front of you. There's no need to advance this close. Let's get Braxton forward. Let's get Griffin's skirmishers reattached. And let's move up Garnett on double. Toon, I want you in this slight gap over here. And Seymour, I want your skirmishers to, if possible, destroy Hayes. Yeah, Burnside was routed. No wonder. But we are soon going to break through. Let's give Griffin the order to fire. Over here, Sweeney should be able to drive back the enemy, and Page was repelled. I guess Wallace was able to give off a couple flanking hits. What do the Confederates have remaining? They only have 3,400 soldiers. And the account is dropping, but our men are unfortunately dying a lot quicker. Seymour's skirmishers weren't able to arrive at the guns, and now Hayes is on our flank. Let's order Seymour to withdraw and to redeploy over there. These guns are luckily falling back. Cox is still over there. We still have a unit over there. And I want Page to move up over there again. It is not a good decision to move up over the river to attack some artillery. But it is unfortunately the only direction that we can currently go. And numerous Confederate cavalry has been spotted, so their men are real. Okay, let's get Burnside down. He has taken over 1,100 casualties and kind of deserves a break. And it is now or never. The day is ending soon and the battle will be over. We must capture the town and the forts or else we fail. One final charge can bring the total victory. March to glory. And with that, the battlefield opens up completely and we can send all of our forces down. Let's quickly select whatever we can and whatever we want and send the men forward. And Richmond's town militia arrives to defend the city. Cute. Let's make sure they learn their lesson not to do something foolish like that. Barry move up, Page move up, and Heinz and I move forward on Cox. Toon also move forward. Griffin is falling back. And it appears like they first groups of the Confederate dismounted cavalry is already withdrawn. We have roughly 4,000 soldiers over here. What is the total account of the enemy army? 7,600 men and 40 artillery pieces, while we have 122,000 men on the field. Let's get these boys also down. I'm really struggling to give orders to this massive blob of men. Let's just send them south. And it looks like we have already driven away one unit that was holding down there. The Union is securing Fort Rockets. Very nice. Cardwell is in position. And I want Sweeney to move up over here, or better, Braxton. Braxton has already bled a lot and he deserves this break. Page is dealing with the retreating Leyden. And I want Braxton's skirmishers to finish them off. Down here we have Chew's artillery and Donovan's men moving up. Let's get Griffin and Burnside forward so that we can help hunt them down. And we even have Lawman and another brigade on the field now. The Richmond town militia was able to drive away Brooks for a short minute or so. Let's now move forward with the rest of our soldiers. Our 10-pounders and 6-pounders are getting ready to annihilate them. And apparently the Confederates were able to recapture this fort. But more Confederates are breaking left, right and center. Let's get everyone through their guns. Hayes is almost destroyed. We have to deal with those forces. Braxton skirmishers deal with the marching enemy down here. Griffin and Burnside are coming up. Where is our cavalry? There it is. I want them to move forward. By the point they arrive, the resistance in the area should already be cleared out, but they can deal with these stragglers. Tunes you can get on those fortifications. Seymour, open up on these guns. We can see that the enemy is running away. Let's get everyone forward and on the double. Page, you can shift around. Griffin, deal with Donovan. Burnside and move forward on Hampton and on Chew. Page, open up on Wallace. Wonderful, wonderful large volley on his flank. Braxton is falling back. Garnett is getting flanked by God knows what. Kirkland shouldn't theoretically be on his flank, but Kirkland is also not going to remain there for a long time. Our cavalry is now moving forward and Kirkland surrendered. Wonderful, let's get him off the field. and capture their Lorentz. We have 3 hours left on the field, and it is not going to take us this long to annihilate the last Confederate resistance. We are now informed that Wallace surrendered. He has the Harper's Ferry, wonderful weapon. Ranson is down here with 260 soldiers. Our cavalry is now moving up. We are going to send them on Leyden, while we are going to send the rest of our soldiers through the artillery. And we have some soldiers that are trying to charge our artillery. Let's make sure we get reinforcements in and that we move them on the double. But I'm sure that we are going to deal with Louis just by shooting them into small pieces. And there he has surrendered, giving us some more shots. Our cavalry is struggling to get over the water, but soon they are going to annihilate Leyden. Braxton's skirmishers might be destroyed as they are trying to deal with Chew. Let's charge in with Burnside. Griffin, shoot on Leyden so you're not getting outflanked. Cavalry is there. Let's send them forward. Or better, let's set one group on Leyden, 2 others on Chew, in case Burnside runs out of stamina. Braxton can move up. I'm deliberately not taking the last fort because I want to destroy as many Confederates as possible. And we still have to give out a couple orders to make that happen. And now we can send McCord onto the fortifications. Only a few running Confederates are still on the field. Swords get over there. We are securing Fort Ormond. And I want these soldiers to finally deal with the enemy artillery. We can now see that these soldiers are trying to run away to the south. We can see more breaking Confederate soldiers. And let's order these men to charge in. Our hunters have almost destroyed 100 rebels. Almost impressive for their terrible weapons. These soldiers have surrendered, giving us access to some more Springfields. And Cooper has surrendered as well. We now only need to hold the remaining forts for 53 minutes, but I believe at that point we have already crushed the entire Confederate army. They only have 900 men remaining. And I'm sure some of them might be down here. Let's hunt them. And let's get our Cook and Brothers to get enemy supplies while they're still in the area. These men can move on the double. Yes, there is a Lee. There's Coward. And we are now going to speed up time. Let's get our Cook and Brothers to charge down these supplies so that we can capture them. And find out how terrible the Confederate rations are. In the meantime, Sweeney is going to be dealt with. Let's order a charge. I'm sure Lee has already surrendered. These supplies have surrendered. Oh no, Lee is still on the field. I can see the small red dot on the minimap. Cook and Brothers do not need to do anything anymore. These boys have surrendered, meaning that Lee's 280 soldiers are the last people on the battlefield, with the exception of maybe some supplies, and Hampton himself. Yes, there we have the complete annihilation of the Confederate army. This fight was surprisingly bloody, especially on our side. I was expecting that we could march through the enemy like a hot knife through butter. But still, our victory was never in doubt. At the beginning of the fight, we had over 148,300 infanterists and 2,300 cavalrymen. We also brought 557 artillery pieces to the battlefield. Our infantry suffered over 30,400 losses. We have also lost 19 artillery pieces and one of our cavalrymen has also perished. On the Confederate side, however, they had 52,000 infanterists, 3,000 cavalrymen and 333 guns. And they have lost over 35,000 infanterists, they have lost 231 of their guns and 1,900 of their cavalry. 9,665 men of theirs surrendered. We have achieved all of our goals. And the best unit on the battlefield was Bragg with 2,400 kills, followed by Kite with 2,000 and Canfield with 1,900. And our soldiers also lead the list of casualties. Kraft has lost over 1,800 of his soldiers, followed by Canfield with 1,700 losses and Whiting with 1,300 losses. Within our officer corps, we have Brigadier General Jared Katz, who has been shot. Otherwise, we have Major General George Meade as wounded and Timothy Kirk as wounded, and a lot of promotions, including many new Major Generals. And John Gibbon is now a Lieutenant General. We of course have lost a lot more soldiers in the first day of fighting, but they have already been replaced. And after the fight, we were able to capture over 2,500 Harper's Ferry M1855, 1,200 Pattern 1853 Enfields, 906 Sharps Model 1855, 456 Sword-Offs, 1,800 Springfields M1842s, and 875 M1841 Mississippi. We also got over 40 12-pounder Napoleons from the battlefield, over 1,002 MJ&G Type 2, 94 Palmettos, and 152 Remington M1861. Lastly, we captured 7 12-pounder howitzers, 7 10-pounder Parrots, and 16 10-pounder ordnances, and a lot of supplies. And as a final ingredient, we got over 114 Lorentz from the battlefield. And now, finally, this war is over. Hooray, the Union has finally prevailed. The Confederate capital is taken and the rebels signed a peace treaty accepting our terms. The brutal civil war that cost the lives of thousands and divided our nation for more than 4 years is finally over. All Confederate generals have surrendered, including Lee, your greatest adversary. The country will be united again and slavery shall cease to exist in the United States. The Reconstruction era begins that will reform our nation and ensure the Americans will never fight Americans again. And in the war between the states, your leadership and skill became a matter of national pride. Your men would follow you anywhere and you returned home a hero, greeted with parades and great fanfare. The people of the great state of New York elected you governor by an overwhelming margin. Your skill at managing an army in the field will prove invaluable for managing an entire state. How nice of them. And now we can take a look at the overall statistics. In total, we have lost over 341,203 infantrymen, and we have lost over 6,425 of our artillery crews. 6,553 of our cavalrymen have also been killed, and 201 of our soldiers surrendered. On the enemy side, however, they have suffered over 562,047 infantry casualties. They have lost over 52,580 artillerymen and 19,462 cavalrymen. Also, over 23,987 of their soldiers surrendered. And this marks the end of our worst weapons run of Ultimate General Civil War. The next game that I want to feature on this channel is going to be Regiments. But it is going to take a short while so that I can look into the game, so maybe something else will temporarily be uploaded. But if you have recommendations for games that you want to see on this channel, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I hope you've enjoyed this video and this series, and I thank you all for watching and for your support. Until we meet again, I wish you all a great time.